Yo, JD here, Tyrrell Limnus, and as you can see, back on F1 2019 as always. And this is the F1 Esports 2020 qualifying event at Suzuka, as you can see, in the full wet conditions in the Alfa Romeo. And I had a lot of fun with this one. I really do enjoy this track, probably one of my favourite tracks I enjoy, well, particularly when it comes to league racing. I really look forward to tracks like this and Silverstone. These are probably my two go-to in the game right now. But this event was very, very difficult, very, very challenging, going against 110 AI with all assists off as usual. And basically the aim of this is you're Kimi Räikkönen and you've got to finish in the top 6. That's the objective, otherwise you don't get any points or anything at all. And basically I'm just going to talk you through this. Obviously this is not a perfect run, definitely not a perfect run by any means or stretch, but it was a very, very strong time. You can see the first lap here so far, I'll just talk to you really just how I'm feeling. First lap here was pretty good. Ideally you want to get past Carlos Sainz or Heinz Sainz going into Spoon, which we managed to do successfully here, so that's really the area you want to get him at, because I was talking to Syra, who was top of the leaderboard, or currently was top of the leaderboard whilst I was making this video, and we both got them in the same place. And Giovinazzi, if you get a very good run down this straight, you will try and dive bomb him into this last chicane, so going completely flat out, hold it in 7th gear, just so I can do a little bit of the engine brake and go into the chicane here. Not close enough to get him into this one, so definitely losing a little bit of time here. Coming off this last corner now onto the straight, it's very crucial that we get a very nice run, because they do defend very hard. We do a 43.9 first lap, which is not bad at all. He defends really, really aggressive on the inside, so that means that we have to go around to the outside, try not to make contact. So again, not completely optimal, but still that's pretty good if you can make the move going to turn 1 on this. And now we have some free air, and this is probably the 2 laps here, this lap and the next lap, were not very good laps for me at all, and I think it actually cost me getting number 1 in this event, because my remaining laps after these 2 laps are very, very good. And comparing my times with the guy who was number 1, we were doing exactly the same times, if not I was actually going slightly faster in my last 3 laps here. So see, going out wide here, getting a bit of oversteer, using hot lap whenever I can, but then using no ERS, very, very crucial. And you can see locking up tight line, not optimal at all. And ideally, since I had to make a couple of overtakes in this first lap, see almost losing it again, you really want to be making the most of these laps where you're on completely clean air, because you still really have to be catching Ricciardo on the last 2 laps of this event. So you want to catch him in quite a good place, but this lap is very, very sloppy at the moment. Got plenty of fuel really for this race, you don't really have to worry about it too much, maybe on the last lap, but ERS you definitely do have to keep an eye on. Leaving it in 7th gear here, I just preferred it, not losing any time on the straight. And this chicane, you want to be really, really aggressive, trying to kiss this first curve, but really attack this second one. Get a nice exit up here now, you can see lean and no ERS. That's just to make sure I have no wheel spin and I get some very good traction. You can see a 44.2 or something like that, so that's a very poor second lap. Ideally you want to be going about a second quicker than that, you want to be in the very low 43, so not a good lap in the slightest. So trying to make the most of it here, trying to really hug this curb on the left, but we missed the apex for the right now, which kind of really unsettles you for the rest of the sequence. If you mess up one line, it's very hard to get back and moving for this. Going into this left-hander now, I want to stay nice and tight, but actually kissing that curb. So again, not going too well on the lap so far. And let's see, go through the first sector, we actually are down, when again you really should be going probably green for most of these laps in the first sector. Try not to run on that curb too much, running rich, no ERS, and again putting it in lean, especially off this corner. And again we go super, I don't even know what that was, I think it was just middle-ish of the corner, but whatever it was not optimal coming out here. And let's see if we can get a good spoon, putting it back down to standard and no ERS again. You want to save this ERS as much as possible, kissing that inside curve, which again you either want to go fully committed or just completely avoid it and getting a decent-ish exit up here. But as I was saying, you really want to be focusing on that ERS, because that's really where your main source of power, especially in these conditions as well. go through here with 2 tenths down. I think if I read that correctly. So again, a pretty horrible lap, about a second off really. So I should be about well over about half a second better off so far in the run itself. And now this is where I start driving well. So start of this lap we do, I don't know what that was, I think a 44.0, 44.1 or something. Now this is where I actually starting to actually drive, or wow, I should have been. So really being aggressive into here, using standard. I always try and use standard in this. Use no ERS, you don't need to use any ERS in this first sector. Clipping that curb nicely, this time hooking it round here, and this one you want to try and take as much curb as possible for this one, because it's just really weird. If you just kiss it, it just really unsettles the car, so you're either going to miss it, or as I said, be fully committed. This time not kissing it, getting a very nice traction exit, pulling up into hot lap, then going back into no ERS, and now this time we're well over a tenth up in this first sector. Second gear through there just to get that extra rotation through the corner, going underneath the bridge, leaving in 5th gear. I do this because I just really want that engine brake in. Now this time no locking up, really nice and tidy, lean just to get that extra, just that really slingshot off the corner, then back into hot lap. And so far the lap is so much cleaner than it was on the previous 2 laps. It's very easy to overdrive in these conditions. This time pretty much missing the curb, using much curb on the exit. 3rd gear again just to get that extra rotation, and then very aggressive on the throttle, then up into Rich, then into overtake once you hit 7th gear just to get that extra power, and now leaving it in 7th gear. Just find it much better turning for this purple middle sector so far, so it's almost 2 tenths up now, and now back down to no ERS and lean again, because you just want to get this maximum traction off this last corner. Slow in, really attack this left curb as I was saying again, and pretty much almost a perfect lap this time. This is what the lap time's going to be this time. It's a 43.4, almost a 3 I think, so that's a very good one. And now we should just be getting quicker and quicker, so as you get into a rhythm it just makes it that much easier. Having to save a little bit of fuel now, so going down into lean again, just getting that wheel spin, and ideally you want to be catching Ricciardo towards the end of this lap, if not try and overtake him on this lap, taking a lot of curb this time. It's always in the wet, you always just got to think about the exit, try not to just go too fast in the entry because you will just lose out massively on the exit. This time going to Rich, hot lap again for that extra little spurt, then back down, change it back down to lean as I said, and going quicker again in this first sector. So despite going lean, people seem to think if I don't go in a high fuel mix I'm going to lose a lot of time. Trust me, you actually probably gain more traction running a lean, especially in these conditions. This time not locking up at all, but taking a very tight line, but seemingly it seems to work. Getting really good traction once again, up into hot lap, back into overtake. Got to take care of that fuel now, so going down to no ERS and then back down to lean. Really trying to attack this corner as much as possible. You've got to take a lot of risks when you're doing these events. It's all or nothing. Always, you just got to be going as fast as possible. Can't afford to be cautious. Back into overtake here. Try and get a little bit of slipstream. I think we're probably going to be a little bit too far away as we're going green once again in the first 2 sectors. Back down to no ERS as quick as you can. Back down to lean again. Do a slight lock up, hitting this curb, but always making sure you're very early on the left hand side. And now it's crucial, we have to get past him into this first corner, because if you don't you're going to be absolutely nowhere near the top 10. Going to overtake, getting a nice slipstream, so trying to perform the same move as I did to my teammate, going round the outside of Ricciardo, actually making a little bit of contact of him. And if you don't get a warning you should continue, but if you do get a warning it really does cost you a lot of points. And now back into standard again, no ERS. ERS is actually quite hard to manage around here, so just keep it in this fuel mix. 3rd gear through this corner just to get extra rotation again. Really trying to attack this one's fast in, but try and hold it tight on the exit, do not let it drift out wide. And we've got 1.5 laps to go here, and going green for this first sector with that slipstream we managed to not really lose any time, and we're actually going 2 tenths up in the first sector, so it's a very good lap so far. Back down to lean through here. It's a really weird corner this one, you don't have to go super out wide and cut back, you just carry a lot of speed in and just hope the car rotates once you get to the apex. Back up into Rich and overtake again. Again going back down to lean, very conscious of the fuel here, really attacking it going into spoon. Now as I said, either ride it or completely miss it. This time we completely miss it. Third gear, I always elect to do that again. You just need that extra bite for him. We are using 4 level wings, so it's a pretty understeery setup. And the reason why I'm using that, the 4 level wings gives me great traction, but still gives me some straight line speed, which we really do need as we're going purple through this middle sector. So I knew I really have to push him, because if you actually get a very quick, fastest lap, it will gain you a lot of points once again. Despite, even if your total time is slower than someone else, if your fastest lap is like a half a second or more quicker, you're going to probably gain a lot more points than that other person. And going to the last lap now, pretty low on the ERS and fuel as well. Nice and tight here. Again, stay tight on this exit. Do not let it go out wide. Up into lean, and using lean and no ERS completely for his first sector. But you'll be able to see below Delta, you don't really lose really any time whatsoever. So stay nice and tight here. Do not let it drift out wide. Really don't want to do that in the wet. Stay nice and tight again. Try and slingshot off this corner, which we do pretty nicely up into hot lap and rich mix. Back down to lean and no ERS, so you really got to be quite quick with your hands going around here. About a 10th down, because we did have to go full lean and full no ERS through here. Try and take or use it as much as possible. Again, pretty much take any line you want, but try and stay tight to the apex. Go on the throttle as you're in a straight line, and this corner is completely flat out here. Very, very difficult, but we're just got to be conscious of the fuel and the ERS now. And at this point, really just don't need to look after the ERS so much. It's mainly just the fuel. So using lean here, third gear again, nailing that line every single time coming out of Spoon. Vettel does a 42.8, but we are in an Alfa Romeo on 2019 settings. Sebastian Vettel wins the race, and we've just got to give it everything to the flag now. Hardly down on the fastest lap that I did. Going to chicane here, being very, very committed to the left hand side as well. And it's a charge to the line. Just try and get as much traction. Use all the ERS and fuel you've got left available to you. We do a purple last sector. And that run was very, very good, apart from the second and third lap. The second and third lap are about well over half a second slower. So I think we should be going probably about a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds on a perfect run. Quicker than that. And I think if I went 2 seconds faster than that, it would have been definitely challenging for the number 1 spot, because I don't know exactly how many points you could have got, but if buts and maybes. But the run was still pretty good, and let's see how many points that has actually got me as we are finishing here. You can see the fastest lap was a 43.1 that I did, and you could just see that second and third lap compared to the rest of my laps. We had clean air, and we just, didn't drive too well in those laps, but the rest of it was very, very good. And this is a comparison with Syrah. See, Syrah's laps are 43.0, 43.7, 43.2, 43.1. Not really too much difference, so you could just pause it on there in case you missed that. 2001 points I got, and that was enough for me to be P3 on the leaderboard itself. And you're just about to see now the actual total race time was, what was it, a 27.99. He did a 25.7, and as I said, another second half. The guy in second's actually done a quicker race time than him, but what I was alluding to before, if you do a slower, fastest lap, you actually get a lot less points, so it's actually quite critical that you do a really good fast lap. So that is my run for qualifying for the F1 Esports 2020 series. I really hope you enjoyed that with my commentary. Hopefully you've learned something from that. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.